Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing good. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to talk to you about something different than finance. If you look at the channel, and I appreciate all of you that have subscribed and left comments recently on my videos. If you look at the channel, I tend to talk about finance almost all the time, particularly how to fund a business either through debt, taking out loans, or working with investors and giving up equity in your business. And it's some content that I plan on continuing to release to you. But right now, I'm on a bit of a holding pattern on that content because if you look at my last video, I've sort of alluded to, I'm working on a book right now around a topic that I've personally been dealing with. And so I started doing research on it and found that a lot of people have this type of question. And that is the idea of, is it safer or better to be an employee at a business and work for someone else, or to be an entrepreneur and work for yourself? And I've been both in my life. I've been both at the same time in my life. And so I've started to gather the research. And one of the things I wanted to share with you today is some of that preliminary research. I just finished writing that section of the book, so it's fresh in my mind. And I wanted to come to you and tell you about something that I noticed. So when we're kids, we're all asked what we want to be when we grow up. And there's always some really sweet answers in there. Oftentimes, kids want to be teachers because they're fresh into kindergarten or first grade and they've been exposed to a really amazing person who's their teacher. Or they want to be some sort of professional sports player, so a football player, a baseball player, all these different things. And what I've noticed, part of my research has been to survey. I'm doing some interviews, some live interviews that I'm going to be recording and sharing with you. But I've also just populated a survey where people can go and answer some questions for me. And so one of the things I noticed is out of the people who have responded to the survey, every single one of them is not what they said they were going to be when they grew up. So, for example, I had Jim answered the survey. I know Jim personally, great guy. Jim wanted to be a professional football player, and he's a banker, right? And a lady named Anita that I know personally wanted to be a psychologist. Interesting answer as a kid, right? Wanted to be a psychologist and is actually in the hospitality industry. And so what I saw was, and it's probably not much of a surprise to people, is that what happens is most when they're kids, when they're asked this question, what they want to be when they grow up, they don't end up being that. I'm a perfect example. I can't even flash back and think about being in kindergarten or first grade and tell you what I thought I was going to be when I grow up. If I go backwards in time, the earliest I can get to any indication of a profession was when I was 15 and I wanted to be a martial arts instructor. Well, I had wanted to be in martial arts my entire life. And at 15, I was finally allowed to take lessons. And if you know me personally or know my background, I actually went on to be the 1996 Tennessee State karate champion, and I fought professionally in mixed martial arts over in Japan. So I wanted to be a karate instructor when I was 15. By the time I was 19, that wish, we might call it a dream, had come to fruition. And I was the head instructor at what was the largest martial arts studio in Tennessee. Well, by the time I hit my 20s, I didn't want to be that anymore. Now, some of that was driven because of different experiences and exposures I had been in front of. I had graduated college. I had a degree. I thought I needed to put that degree to work. And so I went into the marketing and finance world eventually, right? So very far from being a karate instructor. I still to this day teach some of my friends just to stay active and personally try and stay fit and keep my skills up. But at 45, that's getting harder. So even I personally did not end up being what I thought I was going to be as a kid. Now, as I looked at those answers further, what I realized was even as a kid, we tend to define our career choices or career opportunities by using titles, right? So let's go back to that. Someone wanted to be a psychologist. Someone wanted to be a professional football player. Someone wanted to be a professional baseball player. One of the answers was they wanted to be an astronaut. Those are all titles or professions that we name as far as our future career choices, wishes, or opportunities that we hope to get. What people don't tend to do, and only one person has done this so far on the survey, what we don't tend to do is use traits or skills to explain what we want to be when we grow up, or even if you're 45 and you're still trying to figure that out. You don't tend to say, I'd like to express my creative side. I'd like to use my analytical skills. No, we all go straight to these ideas of professions or titles. So, one of the things I want to encourage you to do, whether you have this sort of career thing going on in your head and you can't decide what you want to be when you grow up or not, is don't think of careers, your current career or career opportunities that you may see in the future as titles or professions inside a given industry, right? So instead of saying I'm an accountant or I'm a financial planner, maybe you say I have a very financially focused mind. And I think that will change your perspective of the opportunities that could be in front of you, because my fear is, and one of the things I'm starting to see in some of these interviews is that when we use these titles, when we define ourselves by an industry, we unconsciously tend to trap ourselves in that industry. I'm an accountant. I'm going to always be an accountant. Now, I know that being accountants, their skills cross all kinds of boundaries in terms of business. They're not just, always crunching tax returns. Okay. So accountants have lots of skills. I'm not saying that. But I think by using these titles, when we think about career opportunities, when we think about the things that we want to do when we grow up or the opportunities that we wish were in front of us, when we allow these titles or industries to make us feel stuck there, it limits the opportunities that we're going to have. And instead, if we flip that on its head and we say, hey, I'm very financially focused, I have a creative side. Being creative can happen in all kinds of industries. Marketing, you could be an artist, you could be a musician. Being creative, expressing yourself or your opportunities that you wish you would have or would like to see through skills or traits opens up all kinds of things to you. So I hope that helps you. I know it was really eye-opening for me as I was writing that section of the book that's coming out here in the near future. As I was working through that personally, it really, really made sense to me to focus more on skills and traits in terms of career opportunities and the types of businesses that I want to be involved in, instead of being focused on a title or industry. Thanks a lot. See you later.